Now, Dr. Sugaranjit.
Good evening to one and all. My paper is titled Looking Beyond the Schirmer Strip in a Seronegative Sjogren's Syndrome. Ophthalmologists play a crucial role in the diagnosis of Sjogren's syndrome, and according to the ACR-EULAR classification, the labial salivary gland biopsy and an anti-Rho positivity have the maximum scoring. A score of more than 4 is considered positive. Unfortunately, only 60 to 70% of the patients with Sjogren's are seropositive. In the remaining 30% who are seronegative, a minor salivary gland biopsy is currently the best way to confirm the diagnosis. And this being an invasive procedure, as ophthalmologists, can we find a non-invasive way of detecting Sjogren's syndrome? So the aim of our study was to assess the diagnostic ability of a novel fluorescent strip assisted examination of the lacrimal gland and the labial salivary gland in detecting Sjogren's syndrome in seronegative suspects. So this is a prospective observational study where seronegative Sjogren's syndrome suspects were referred from a rheumatology center for ocular examination. The ophthalmologist was unaware of the diagnosis at presentation, and post-ocular examination, the patients went back to the rheumatologist for a salivary gland biopsy, and based on the salivary gland biopsy, patient was determined as biopsy positive or negative. In the ocular examination, we did an OSDI scoring to know the symptomatology of the patient. A non-invasive ocular surface analyzer was used to measure the tear film height. In the clinical evaluation, a Schirmer's test and an ocular surface scoring was done. Schirmer's less than 5 was diagnostic, and more than 5 was ocular surface staining score of more than 5 was diagnostic of Sjogren's. And we used a fluorescent strip to look at the lacrimal gland secretion and the labial salivary gland secretion. The number of secreting points were noted, and the speed of dilution of the dye was noted. I will be showing a video about this. So the lacrimal gland was exposed, and using the blue filter, the fluorescent strip was applied on the lacrimal gland. A rapid outflow of tears was defined as a fast outflow reaching beyond the lacrimal gland immediately after touch, and the number of secreting points were also counted, whereas a slow outflow of tears was described as a small delay in the outflow of tears after the swiping of the fluorescent strip. We can see four secreting points where the flow is not extending beyond the lacrimal gland surface area. And after this, the labial salivary gland was also swiped with a fluorescent strip, and using the IDEO light and using iPhone and 2x magnification, the number of secreting points were counted. So coming to the results, 59 seronegative Sjogren's suspects underwent salivary gland biopsy, and of these 59, 11 turned positive, and we compared our findings between the two groups. Coming to the symptoms, as we can see, the orange representing yes, more than 70% in both the groups complained of Zika symptoms. The OSDI score was slightly more in the biopsy positive than the negative. More than 90% were females in both the groups. As we can see from the age, they were age-matched individuals. So interestingly, the tear film height, Schirmer's and ocular surface staining score was within normal limits in both the groups. So these patients would have been dismissed as non-Sjogren's if we had not done further tests. And we even went ahead and compared these findings between the two groups. Tear film height, where less than 0.22 being indicative of a disease, was not statistically significant between the two groups. Schirmer's less than 5 indicative of a disease was also not statistically significant. And an ocular surface staining score of more than 5 indicative of a disease was also not statistically significant. Then we counted the lacrimal gland tear secreting point. The mean number of points in the entire sample was 2.5, and reduction in the number of tear secreting points was also not statistically significant between the two groups. And in the lip secreting points, the mean of the entire sample was 14, and reduction in the number of secreting points was also not statistically significant. But in the tear outflow rate, a slow outflow was statistically significant. That is, a biopsy positive patient had a slower tear outflow compared to the biopsy negative. And we looked at the determinants of positive biopsy results, and among all the samples collected, only a slow tear flow rate showed a positive correlation with biopsy positivity. So coming to the discussion, as we know that Schirmer's test has high variability and poor reproducibility, the quantification of tear secretion was first introduced by Kim et al., who looked at these findings in non-Sjogren's. Thereafter, Singh et al. Looked at these outcome of fluorescence staining and quantification of tears in different types of dry eye, and they reported a median number of ductules per lobe to be 4 in a normal, but the methodology that they used was very cumbersome. They took a video and they used an ImageJ software to know the outflow of tears. In our study, we have used the rapid and slow tear secretion classification, which is more reproducible in clinic. In spite of these literature, the correlation between the outcome to positive lip biopsy is yet to be reported, and the findings in a seronegative patient is yet to be reported. They also, Singh et al. Have also looked at the labial gland biopsy, label secreting points, and the saliva secreting points were reduced in both the groups in our patient, and this could be because of the age-related decline. And in our study of seronegative subjects, only the slow tear flow rate was more significant predictor of salivary gland biopsy. So the highlights of our study is that it's a prospective double-blinded study, and it is the first study of its kind, and no study is without limitation. We did not quantify the tear flow or the salivary flow rate. So in conclusion, the threshold for performing a salivary gland biopsy in a suspected seronegative Sjogren's syndrome should be low, and a slow tear flow rate should prompt the ophthalmologist to send the patient for a salivary gland biopsy for diagnosis. Thank you very much.
In the table, no, I think you have a 2:1 ratio, is it? For the biopsy positive versus biopsy negative. What is the ratio? 3:1.
Yes, sir. 11 of them were positive.
Yeah, and 40.
Yes.
That N should always come in all the tables because it's very, otherwise we don't remember.
Yes.
11 is to 48. So all the N values should come at the heading, like what numbers you're looking at, because otherwise it's very difficult to correlate. So you recommend that you do a
lacrimal gland examination, which is not usually done in clinics. So this is the first
for biopsy. Before you send for
if you see a slow tear flow rate, it can be a marker of this patient being a Sjogren's. Like as we can see, most of the Schirmers, and I was blinded during the study, and looking at the patients, I would have never thought that these patients had dry eye. Like most of them looked like they were non-Sjogren's, but we were surprised to see the reports as coming as positive. That's when we looked back at everything.
How did you quantify that? The rate of the fast and
So we didn't quantify it. The previous studies have actually recorded the video and used a software to quantify the ml per minute. But the whole point of our study is to pick the patients who need salivary gland biopsy. So we didn't quantify it. So the simple method that we have used is, after the touch, if it flows out fast, it's a rapid outflow, and if it slows out, after the fluorescent staining, if it takes a small delay to start flowing and it doesn't flow copiously, if it's just a small point over there, like in the second video that I showed, that would be labeled as delay.
No, you used a cell phone with a.
That was only for the
mucosal, not for the
no,
other one
sir.
is on a slit ramp.
Yeah.
So actually, these patients were sent to you by the rheumatologist.
Rheumatologist, based on
Na-
it was Sjogren's suspect, sir, because they were anti-Rho negative. So they also didn't know whether they were Sjogren's or not. So they sent to us because ocular surface staining score and Schirmer's has only one point. So they need 4 points. So because they were already Rho negative, they needed a salivary gland biopsy. So
Now
even they were not sure.
Now we have to do the reverse, no? If you are detecting this thing, you have to send to the rheumatologist.
Yes.
That is your suggestion.
Yes.
Okay, well, this is only the flow we are compare. No, this is the relationship of flow with the positive test.
Positivity, yes, sir.
But
In
clinically,
seronegative subjects.
clinically, these all cases not
Sir,
showing.
more than 70% of the patients who presented to the clinic complained of dry eye and dry mouth. They said they have the problem. But when we looked at the Schirmer's and ocular surface staining score, they were normal. Only the difference that we found is in this flow rate. Even the number of secreting points were similar in both groups, but the way the tears flows out, it's much slower in a Sjogren's patient than in a non-Sjogren's.
Can you
Some-
look at the flow rate? Sorry. Can you look at the flow rate in the mouth also, the parotid?
Sir, I have taken the videos. I have not analyzed it for this presentation, but I plan to do it. Actually, when we swipe it, some of the glands, if you see, they kind of start diluting. The area of that fluorescent positivity increase. The labial salivary gland.
Parotid also.
Parotid. No, sir.
Will this be off-label use for fluoresceine?
Uh,
Is it supposed to be used in that area?
So they have the study that Singh et al. Have done. They have already used this. They have demonstrated this. They have demonstrated once in their study. They have demonstrated this technique.
Thank you.